Hi everyone, it's Watercolor Wednesday. Today I'm going to show you a way that I figure out how to write quotes. So, I have a quote workbook. You've seen that before, a watercolor workbook. So you have the tracing paper right inside and here, let me just open this properly. This is what it looks like. And then you practice and then you can commit to paper. But sometimes I want to write a different quote, so I can practice my styles of lettering with the workbooks. And then to figure out how to design my quote, I'm going to take a piece of my grid watercolor paper. And then I am going to figure out how to kind of organize my quote and arrange the words. So for example, let's say I choose the quote, "One day at a time." This quote has come up for me recently quite a few times, so I thought it would be nice. I've actually never lettered it before, so I thought it would be nice to do. So what I'm going to do first is kind of figure out which words are most important, and of course, it's pretty straightforward. One day and time are the key words. So they will be larger. You don't have to make them larger. You can make, give equal weight to all the words, but that's kind of my concept. So then I could just sketch out a small version first, how it would look. And if I want, let's say I'll do one here and then day in block, and then at and then time in block. I don't know, I think it might look odd like this, so I think I would do one day in script and then at a time. And I'm tempted to do it all script, but you know what? Let's try to see how it would look if time was in block. Now I would actually write it with my pencil on my grid paper. So, and then I would try painting it. So first we'll do that. So I'm going to try to kind of do the similar size. One day. And now I can kind of figure out how I want my at, and time. I can figure out my loops and how big they should be. All right, that might work. So let's try that. Let's grab I'm going to use my black brush pen. This is my pre-filled black ink pen, or water brush rather. And then I will practice using this. Remember, it's a rough copy, so don't panic. I just noticed I have a bit of a blob here, so I'm just unloading it off to the side. Ooh, this is really flowing. One day. What was I going to say? Remember, this is a rough copy. Doesn't have to be perfect. I don't have to go super slow. And yeah, just keep that in mind. I could actually do at in block instead and then make time. Well, let's see how this works anyways. I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself. I tend to do that a lot. So we do want it kind of centered. That's the other thing you're looking for, using the grid lines to see. I could probably move this over a bit more. And then time, do I want serifs? I usually have serifs, so I'm going to add them. And let's do this. It's not very thick. One day at a time. The other thing you can think about is your slant. I tend to always have a slant, so I just go with that. But you do want to, factor that in. I kind of messed up the serif. One day at a time. And there are my serifs there. So I do actually kind of like that. I also now want to think about colors. So do I want to change up the colors? I think the slant is pretty good. Is the size right? Is it balanced well? one thing you don't want to do when you're planning a quote is to have a lot of space between your rows of words. It'll just look too unbalanced, and it'll look like the words are floating rather than being cohesive. So try to keep, you can see how close this is together. Try to keep that. Don't worry about filling up your paper. It's always kind of seems to be a battle for most people. Think, oh, I've got all this space to fill. That's not how you letter something. So we can try that. I'm just going to write the word time here because I almost feel compelled to do it all in script. So I don't know what to do. Anyway, I can actually figure that out when I'm working on my watercolor paper. Now you can jump right into your watercolor paper, draw your lines with the ruler, which I will do, or you can practice on a piece of paper, that watercolor paper that isn't your final copy, and play around with colors. So I'm gonna just jump right in and put my lines on here. And the other thing that's great and I've told you this before, is to use a light pad. It's just like brush lettering. This quote design is very simple. I mean, almost identical to what I'd do if I had a brush pen. If I was using brush pens, rather. A light pad, I would put my final copy underneath and then paint on top or trace it on top. But let's kind of go with this. One day at a, and then time is down here. It's a bit bigger. There. All right. This, I'm going to use my colored my colors here. And I think I'm going to choose maybe teal and yellow and pink, just something kind of bright and fun. I'm going to use a size 2 Kelly Crates lettering brush. I do need to rehydrate my palette, so let's do that first. I have my jar of water here, and you can see how I've stacked my 2 palettes here of the 2 different colors. Sometimes I do that when I'm using lettering with colors from 2 palettes. So this is my cool palette with the cool colors from the watercolor ink sets, and obviously this is the warm palette. So let's put this here and make sure my brush is clean it off. All right, and now I'm going to paint One Day. And what should we start with? Let's start with pink. And you can you can have a little tester piece of paper and make sure the color is how dark you want it. This is pretty good. It's a little bit light. So I'll zoom in a little bit. Okay, so One Day, and I'm going to switch colors in between, and like this, clean my brush, pick up some yellow, clean my brush, get into this teal, clean my brush. I'm going to go back to the pink, and I'm just alternating. That's not very dark, so I'm just going to add a little bit more ink color. You can do this when you're painting. One Day, and getting my yellow, and I think I'll keep this yellow too. Cleaning my brush, going back into the teal, and I'm going to just lighten that up a little bit. Fix this. All right, I like that. It's really cheerful. Now I'm actually changing my mind here. I feel like I want to do I always do this. Okay, I'm not going to change my mind. Let's go back to the pink. But that's okay. You know what? You can change your mind if you feel, oh, I didn't clean my brush very well. Let's brighten this up a bit. You can change your mind. Don't feel like you're stuck with one. Well, that's a lot of paint. And that's not enough paint. I like those swoopy, big swoopy T crossbars. My teal is quite light, so I don't want to have it, oh, that's a bit dark now. Okay, oh well. And then we have time. Oh, I really want to keep it all script. I don't know why I always do that. I'm gonna leave it all script. That's the way it's gonna go. Now, I'm actually going to switch to teal because I have pink right here. And one thing you'd want to do, if you are alternating colors, my sequence is pink, yellow, teal, obviously, right? And it works well on the top line. The second line, it also works well because this pink is under the yellow. But I don't want to have pink again on this edge. I want a different color, like I want more variation. So I'm actually going to start with the teal. I know some of you are probably screaming right now, no, don't change it. Okay, and remember, if it doesn't work out, you can always, what's after the teal? Now it's pink. I'm going to switch to yellow. And now I'm going to switch to pink. And another pink. And now teal again. And I'm going to cross this. Forgot to dot my I. Like that. There, I think that's really pretty. So I think, yeah, everything is drying nicely. I'm just checking right now. Do I fix anything up? I think the colors actually look quite good. If you're fixing anything, it's either right when you're painting it or after it is completely dry. No, I think I'm going to leave it. There's the trends. Oh, this one is a little bit blobby here. So remember last time, or I told you before, very just damp, clean brush. You can kind of, when it's dry, mine isn't completely dry, so I don't want to do much. You can kind of rub away any lines you see here. I will even add a little bit of pink to kind of create a better transition here. There, that's much nicer. Here, I don't like this transition, or sorry, this part of this stroke. I think it's dry. I hope it's dry. So I'm just going to try to blend this a bit more. Uh-oh, that's a bit much. Okay, I'm going to leave that and I'll have to fix it when it's dry. This A is a little bit blobby, but I actually kind of like the way it looks. And I think everything else is good. So there you go. There's actually, this is going to be a free printable for you to practice and trace on my website, kellycrates.ca. So you can pop over there, pick it up, print it off, and start practicing. Thanks for joining me.